All right, we're going to talk a little bit about things to practice. When I learned to call ducks, I didn't learn from a video. I'm a self-schooled, self-taught duck caller. In other words, I didn't listen to somebody else's video or listen to a duck calling tape and start calling. I just picked up a duck call and sat amongst ducks. I actually started with a little D2 Olt, was the first call I ever owned, and learned how to make sounds on it. And over time graduated to the double reeds and then Blue Robertson's calls. And like I said, I've tried everything on the market that's been out there so far and ended up coming up with my own design. Anyway, let's talk about things to practice. With this call, the first thing you want to learn how to do on it is quack. Just a series of quacks. So I try to quack at different velocities, different pitches, just learning to make good solid quacks. And that has to do with increasing the cavity, decreasing the cavity. When I'm running air through this duck call, it's clean, but if I was to do it up close without the duck call, it would be more to do a quack. Now, along with that, I start mixing in and doing what I call little series of quacks mixed with a little feed chuckle, and that's the only time I really free up my tongue. My tongue's usually anchored most of the time, other than a feed call. With a feed call, I'm tut-tut, 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 with the tip of my tongue. Some guys go ticka, 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 but to me that's more mechanical, and the tut-tut, tut-tut, tut-tut under pressure gives you a richer, fuller sound. So it'd be something about like this. Back to talking about hand technique. Part of this has to do is if you watch a duck, when she calls, she actually opens and closes her mouth with the notes. So she's ack, 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 ack. That's kind of what I'm trying to simulate over the end of this duck call with my hand. So as I run air through it, open, close, open, close, open, close. And this timing is an acquired thing. You will not do this immediately. It took me quite a while to get the timing right. So now when I'm calling, it opens and closes just like her mouth. Flesh for the sound. Open, close, open, close, open, close. Dying the call off. People always talk about dying the call off. That is the rise and fall of each note in the cadence that a duck does. And I'm actually walking my tongue back and increasing the cavity in my throat from top to bottom. That's why the notes fall in a rhythmic fashion. So it's so my tongue kind of walks back in the roof of my mouth towards my throat and increases the cavity with each note. That's why they fall a little bit and the call dies off. That's how you die it off, because you're decreasing pressure as you increase the cavity behind your tongue. So that decreases pressure over the reeds and causes the call to fall off. The other thing I like to practice, and I've been doing this my whole life, is what I call tempo changes. Tempo changes are going from a slow cadence to a quick cadence, or vice versa. A quick cadence and then dropping off into a slow cadence, trying to replicate two ducks. And that would go something like this. That would be a slow to a quick, and then vice versa is trying to simulate a couple of hens chiming in together, which you'll hear ducks doing a lot. So if you can practice those, and they don't come easy. I've been doing this my whole life. I mean, I've been hunting ducks almost 60 years, so that'll give you a little bit of reference on the amount of time I spent with this call in my hand. We were going to throw in a little bit about the differences between traffic and hunting an area where the ducks are actually coming to. We hunt both. I'm blessed to be able to hunt one of the finest duck clubs probably in the Northwest, maybe in the country. And in that scenario, we're actually hunting cells that are flooded with food and the birds are coming to us. So it's more like we're just trying to finish birds. It's not that they're not any tougher because they get a lot of pressure, but we're trying to finish the ducks that are coming to us. We're not really having to break them or traffic. So that's a different style. I mean, the calling involved there is more like just trying to be a pure duck. So if I see ducks and they work and I see them set up and they start to sail over the cell, the critical time to call ducks is when they bank to turn. So we say we got them going, I've got them going and here they come. As they start to bank to turn, I'm just going to give them a little greeting and finishing type sound. Couple of quacks and soft 5-7 notes max, and every time they bank to turn we're going to hit them, and in between, because we are in a feeding cell, I may add single quacks and a little bit of feed chuckle just to fill in the gaps between the major trying to control them calls. So that would go adding a couple of quacks here and there. So that's kind of the difference, is we're not really being aggressive with the ducks. We're trying to be more just finishing touches to get them in the hole so we can do our thing with them. Now we'll talk a little bit about traffic. And the main thing about traffic is we're trying to get ducks to come and light in a place they really haven't been. Most public ground is that nature. In other words, we've got high birds flying over an area, and the prerequisites are we've got to be in a spot that's a good location. We have to have a premium hide, and I mean a premium hide, because most public places get beat up, and that's one of the main killers of duck hunting, is you're not hid good enough. If you get up at their angle and look, they see everything. But anyway, you can simplify this by knowing just duck attitude. I don't call at every flock of ducks that flies by me. I try to look for birds that are prone to be called. What I mean by that, if you see ducks that are in a tight formation and their butts are down and their head is up and their wing beat is solid, they are usually traveling from point A to point B, and I don't care what you run at them, they're going to keep going. The ducks you want to look for are the ducks that have a more flat attitude, a broken wing beat, or they're already on the sail. Those are the birds you want to get on. So we'll just kind of simulate. We see birds, they're on the sail, they're still pretty high. We've got to get their attention and understand that when you get up on this duck call, you're not really replicating what a hen sounds like in particular. You're just trying to be heard. So I'm going to the upper spectrum of the limits of this duck call, and what they hear is the first 2 or 3 notes maybe at the elevation they're at. So we're going to break them first. So once I've done that and I get a reaction and I see them react and they start to go on the sail, it's the same premise. When they bank to turn, we give them finishing calls, greeting calls. In between, which I may be doing a little pecking on the call and single quacks. That's on the bank turn. Hit them right there. You get a reaction. Here they come sailing. They come sailing past. You let them go until they start to bank to turn again. Timing is critical. You don't have to be a great duck caller to kill ducks. What you have to be is a great timing artist on when to and when not to with your duck call. I never call it ducks that are straight over the top at me, because they're keying in on that sound, and you do not want them looking at you in your duck blind. You want to let them go, so they've got to figure out where exactly to come from, and that's what the decoys are for. Anyway, they broke, they go by me, they start to bank to turn. Bank, turn, got them coming. The closer they get, the softer I get, and usually the more speeded I get on my call. I like to speed up and get excited, and that's when I start doing tempo changes. They bank to turn. Until we get them over the decoys, feet down, in your face, belly up, in the decoys, a good retriever, fetching them back. That's what duck hunting is. And that's why we love it, and that's why we do it. And that's why I am so thankful to the Creator for creating all of this that we get to enjoy.